What is happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're keeping well. Welcome back to another one of these weekly podcasts. Today, I'm joined by a fantastic panel. Firstly, Haz, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just enjoying the break from Tottenham right now.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Enjoying the stress-free, if you like. We'll get on to England, but it's not completely stress-free. Marlon, it's been a while. How you doing?
Good, thanks. All good. Just trying to stay away from football as much as possible until August.
Yeah, that's the best way to be. It's hard though when you have obviously the Euros as it is with the World Cup, etc. But thank you very much for joining us this evening. And Marc, again with you. It's been a while, but regular on the show. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to the general election. There we go. I thought I'd take it a million miles away from football.
Fair enough. I don't know if many will agree with you, but there we go. He's looking forward to it. Thank you very much again, Marc, for joining us this evening. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It's free to do so, and it helps the channel and the podcast grow. If you're listening on a podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review. But let's crack straight into it. And Marlon, actually, I want to start with you. Talking about the striker position. Obviously, the show's called Toney to Spurs. Should we prioritise the striker position, so the number 9 position this summer for you?
Yes. Whether we'll do so or not is another question. I said, and I still think it is a thing, our front three all need to be upgraded this summer. Every single position up front, we need upgraded. And the reason why I say the whole front three is Son is going to be 32 or is 32. His replacement needs to be in now before we get another year on and we're doing what we did with Harry Kane. And then there's nobody. Right? Richarlison, for me, number 9, he's a difficult one because he came in after January, December time and started to hit form. And then he missed 3 months of the season nearly. So it's kind of, what do we do with Richarlison at this point? And that right wing position. The wingers are so key to this system. We need all 3 upgraded, and that's for me. But number 9 is a priority, but it's only a priority if the other 2 positions are upgraded as well. Otherwise, it's all pointless.
No, I see what you mean. Fair enough. Yeah. Marc, I actually want to come to you. I want to get your thoughts on what Marlon just said about upgrading all 3 players. I think just a little feeling you've got something to say about it. But also, should we prioritise that number 9 position?
The biggest priority this summer is got to be a holding midfield proper number 6. Someone similar. There's only 2 teams that have a proper number 6, and that's Arsenal and City. No surprises, they were top and had the best 2 defences in the Premier League because they're protected by Rodri and Rice. We've got 4 fantastic defenders, 5. If you saw Dragus in earlier today, he was just unbelievably good. We need cover at full back. I think if you can keep Richarlison fit, he had 19 starts, 12 goals, 4 assists. So 16 goal involvements from 19 starts. And the bits and pieces off the bench, I think, amounted to about two total games, about 180 minutes off the bench. See, I don't count those because you're coming on at different stages of the game to try and do something. As for upgrading all 3, we signed Kulu on a permanent last summer. We signed Johnson on last summer. Neither of those are going to be leaving anytime soon. I do believe we'll get Eze. Number 9 a priority. Toney or Solanke was your comment, wasn't it? Neither. Solanke's 28 and had 1 good season. Not for me, thank you. And Toney, I don't think his character fits in with the dressing room as it currently is. So I would go neither. If we're going to buy a number 9, I'd go for Gyökeres. I just think he gives you so much more in terms of the way the team plays. As for the left side, yes, Sonny's going to be 32. Still got 15 goals, missed 6-7 weeks of the season with the Asia Cup. I still think he'll get goals, and he'll get probably more from wide on the left than he will through the centre. He's not a number 9. Werner's a strange one, but that could just be he wants to see another year of the kid from the academy. My name's gone.
I can't think of you mean.
The under 18, Mikey Moore. He wants another year to see Mikey Moore with the first team squad, and then he will be Son's replacement, in my opinion. And that's why he's brought Werner in for another year on loan. Because if you buy another 22, 23-year-old left-sided attacker, you're literally saying to Mikey Moore, you've got no chance, mate. And this kid is exceptional, but he's only just about to be 17. So I think he'll be one that doesn't go out on loan, because I think they'll want to keep him within the organisation and have him with the first team quite a lot.
Okay, fair enough. No, thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. And just to chip in on that whole upgrading thing, for me, I look at it personally and think number 9, yes. You know, I like Richard, so I will keep hold of him as an option to have off the bench. I think his numbers are good when, obviously he's a player that lives off confidence, but I would keep hold of him unless he got crazy offer, Saudi coming in. So I think number 9 we do need. I think the left-hand side, I think that Eze comes in, and I think that covers your competition with Maddison, but also someone who can play on the left. I love Toney, I defend him a lot, and I love his numbers. I think that Angie's system's very highly demanding. I think that it'll be a lot for him to go to him and say, look, 38 games this season and Europe. I don't think that he'll be able to sustain that. I think Werner, for me, it makes sense. I think that I didn't even really think about. I know Haz, you disagree, for example, but it makes sense, as you said, with Mikey Moore there. I think that's an example, and it's an option to have off the bench in Europe, which he has experience in. But I think I still sign Eze, so that's really upgrading 2 positions or adding competition. Go on, Marlon.
Can I just add one thing? Yeah,
please do.
So Sonny scored 12 goals playing 12 goals, 14 goals from centre forward positions with 23 starts. Left wing, 12 starts, 3.
You see, you got that, but when he played up front for me, we looked really poor, and you look at some of the results; they weren't good, and we just had nothing to aim for in the middle. But this is why I'm saying we need to upgrade the front 3, because everyone has said as a centre forward exactly what you just said. He scored 14 goals from that position. That's where most of his goals came from. Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself the question:
did he play most of his games there?
So he played 23 starts, 14 goals, 12 from the left, 3 goals.
But how many games did he start off from out of those 23 games?
So he started 23. He started
23 in the middle and 12 were on the wing. That's what
okay.
12 on the wing. Yeah.
So it's almost double the amount of starts.
So his numbers as a centre forward are better.
And he's going to get more chances through the middle, because it's just by nature of it. But his numbers from the left over the last few seasons have been phenomenal. So,
but he doesn't have the same pace he had at like 28, 26, 25.
The last 2, you're literally going.
But the last 2 seasons, both have been interrupted massively in the middle by international competitions.
But also, you have to take into consideration his age. Like Marlon mentioned, he's 32, and he's a player that relies on pace. So naturally, over time, he's going to dwindle with pace.
You'd think so. I don't think
like Gareth Bale. When Gareth Bale came back to Spurs, he didn't have the same pace he did when he left, did he? And he was in his 30s when he came back.
That was more the injuries, but
he still did have the quality though at the end of the day. And
but that's because Jose and even Mason used him sparingly as a rotational player.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I think that Son can carry on for longer. I can see him still 37, 38 doing very well.
He can, but
I can see that.
Carry on.
But again, he'll be a rotational player. Not
he
as
can
a
carry on
starter.
for longer, but he's got to be a centre forward to carry on for longer. The left winger position is going to be requiring a lot of pace. Right, that's why Johnson's come in. Like you said, that's why Werner's coming. Whether I agree with it or not, that's why he's come in. Sonny can't give us that pace on the wings anymore, no matter if we like him or not. That's why most of his goals contributions have come from being a centre forward. Unfortunately, it's the way it is. Age will eventually catch up with him, and his last 2 seasons, have literally been. We've seen a decline in his goals, right? But last year we saw, we kind of, like you said, even though there was a lot of games he was out of. As soon as he got in front of goal, and he was 1-on-1, he was finishing them.
Because the problem is, all his goals were not created even by him, really. Let's be honest. Madison or someone else put the ball through, and he's 1-on-1. He has to score. I mean,
I was going to say they need to make a decision, because he's got a year left plus a year option. Well, we
say this, and as from a footballing perspective, someone like me would say sell Son. But from Levy's perspective, which obviously everyone knows my opinions on him, but he'll want to keep Son because he knows he brings the revenue in. I mean, you go to every match day, there's obviously loads of Koreans.
Commercial Son is brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, like he brings so much revenue to the club. Like me and my friend tried to calculate an estimate each match day how much he would bring in, and we were saying 5 to 6 million maybe each match day someone brings in.
And the
Just
problem
on
we've
his
got
own.
is, but the problem we've got with
Yeah.
Sonny is, right, he's not going to retire from international football anytime soon, right?
Mm,
Because he's very, South Korea, he's their captain, he's everything. So we're going to have these interruptions with international tournaments all the time with him.
mm.
So we kind of have to look beyond Sonny now and be like, actually, this is where we need to go. Bring in that extra front three, because if we're gonna rely on him like we did last year,
He won't be able to.
He won't produce the same numbers.
Yeah.
Well, the next
won't
World
produce
Cup
the
is
same numbers.
the next World Cup is a Summer World Cup, and the next Asia Cup is 4 years away. So it's a moot point. There's no international tournaments, and he's not going to go to the Olympics. So there's no international tournaments to interrupt the next 2-3 years. So
but his numbers still from left wing are not, and that's where we're expected to play him.
Because the problem is last season, everyone was saying at the beginning of the season, play him in the middle. Later in the season, everyone was saying play him on the left. So where do you want to put him? And you're putting him in for the sake of just putting him in because he's a club captain.
I think it's horses for courses. I think you've got to pick and choose your games. You saw, as someone has already said, against a low block, Sonny is useless through the middle.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no space. There's nowhere for him to run. So that's where I'd play him out wide. But the window opened yesterday. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
It's quite strange because most of his goals probably came from low block teams as well when he was playing up front. So it's just weird where he wasn't scoring against the top sides. I think Man City is the only one I can pick out that he did score.
He scored 2 at Arsenal.
Yeah. But he scored 3 against Burnley. He scored, Fulham,
Patches,
Crystal Palace.
Really?
So it's going to be patches of low block teams and teams that come out at us. So you have to ask yourself the question, is Sonny going to be, you're asking, he's 32, international or not, he still has to travel. It's a case of he's not going to be the same player, whether we like it or not. And
Marlon, would you cash in then? Would you cash in if the right offer came in?
I wouldn't, no, because like I said earlier, I know Haz would, but I wouldn't, because of whoever the next player to come in needs to learn off Sonny as well. So you need that rotation between the two of them, right? That's why Vernon, to me, makes no sense. If it's Mikey Moore and Sonny, right, as you guys have said, perfect sense, right? But to bring in, this is...
That's why I was arguing with Vernon. I want him
Hudson-Odoi,
even though I don't rate Hudson-Odoi. At least he's 23. At least he can get better. Werner's not going to get any better. He's 29.
But if you buy Hudson-Odoi, you're literally saying to the likes of Mikey Moore, you've got no chance getting through because we've just bought a 23-year-old to block your.
I'm not saying to buy Hudson-Odoi. I'm just saying.
That's the point. Werner makes complete sense if you think Mikey Moore is ready in a year's time, which he could be at almost 18. Look at Kobbie Mainoo.
But don't you think it's a massive risk? And this is no disrespect to Mikey Moore, but don't you think it's a massive risk to put all your faith in the 17-year-old?
There is an element of risk, but I've watched it. I've seen enough of him both live and on.
You don't take that risk, you don't get the reward. And the reality is, you look at top teams, you're seeing youth everywhere you look. Newcastle, Lewis Miley, Man United, Kobbie Mainoo, everywhere you look. Garnacho, there's youth. And I look at Tottenham and go, there is no one in that first team. So, and even when we're getting what we call an injury crisis as fans, we're not giving the youth an opportunity. And someone's going, like Parrott and Scarlett, they're not good enough. But they don't really get an opportunity. And when they do, it's in already like 11 change squad. Like a lot of players got an opportunity. Fulham, round 2, but he changed too many things. The fact that we didn't notice really any difference. What you're best to do is keep your 11 and add someone like Mikey Moore in and see how he copes with that, rather than changing 8-9 players, disrupting the rhythm. None of them will play with each other, and we don't learn anything from the game, because that's what happens. It will happen next season, happen the season after. We've seen it with Fulham this year, where too many changes are made, we get knocked out. Players get rested, come back worse. It's just a nightmare scenario in every case.
I think you'll see quite a few involved in the pre-season friendlies.
That'd be good.
Really, just to see how they deal with senior men's football, and there'll be a mixture. Some will go on loan, some will stay. I wish I knew who's who. I think Lancashire's going to go on loan to Middlesbrough, is what I see. Nigel Pearson had watched it. Nigel Pearson's their chief scout now, and he was at all 3 of the knockout games in the Premier League playoffs. sat just behind me, scribbling away. And then all the rumours came out about a week or so ago that Middlesbrough were interested in Lancashire. So I think he could benefit from it. I think he could deal with the physicality. There's one or two that need a loan, and there's one or two I think that need another year.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And before we move on to individual strikers, Haz, I want to get your thoughts on, should we prioritise that striker position? Don't necessarily want who you want in particular, but how important is that striker position to you? You could touch on Son if you wish.
I'm in Marlon's camp. I think we need to replace the whole front line. So, and I think I would keep Richarlison as like a backup / competition, in my opinion. I think he's a good option to have in that respect. And I think Son you still need to keep because we can't replace 6 players or 4 or 5 players in one window.
What about Brennan Johnson? More assists than any other Arsenal players, more assists than a lot of City players, a lot of Liverpool players, Alexander-Arnold more than. This is disrespectful to Johnson.
Arnold's like a defender, so I don't know why you bring him into this. But,
well, he's considered attacking. Well, no, we can do it off that. Yeah, we can go Doku, any other Arsenal player, Odegaard.
You know, Doku only joined like halfway through this. Only played like how many games? Anyway, but what I'm trying to make is that if we really want to bridge the gap between us and the top 3, and as Sanchez being a title race next season, you need to go out and sign like a 25 goal season striker, like guaranteed. 2 wingers that can give you like 15 goals, pretty much 10 to 15 goals in the Premier League. And I'd prioritise, in my opinion, those positions more than number 6. And the reason I bring this up, and this is not like an argument against Marc, but Marc broke up the point about number 6. Now, I don't believe Ange actually plays even with a number 6 anyway. And I think it's been reflected in the links with Gallagher because Gallagher isn't exactly number 6. We haven't really been linked with like a proper number 6, that I think come in and just do a job straight away. Like, the classic number 6, like a Mekalady type, a Kante type. We've not really been linked with someone like that. It's mainly been Gallagher all summer and even before the summer. So I don't think he even wants someone like that. So I think we need to buy a new holding front line. So number 9 is priority. But again, like Marlon said, with both wingers at the same time as well. Otherwise, there's no point in signing a striker that's not going to have any supply.
I personally think that we need to show a bit of... Yeah, go for it.
To add on to your point, because you made a very good point. My thing's not against what the thing with Brennan Johnson is that a lot of his good performances last season, right, were when he came off the bench. And I think for him right now is, look, if it was a striker and a left winger, I'm not saying with Brennan Johnson I don't want him to be replaced. It's that Ange came out and said after the Australian thing, I want 3 sons, right? Which is basically saying he wants an attacking 3. However, with Brennan Johnson, if there's more consistency with him next year, right? Because I think for him, I give him some excuses. He was hampered when he came in by injury. He was stop and start when he first round. I think it was just after the Arsenal game. He got injured, then he was stop and start, and then he got thrown into the deep end a little bit, right? But you're right. Look how many assists he got last season. So there is a player in there. The problem that we found with him was he missed a lot of easy chances.
Him and Werner were like the highest big missed chances, weren't they?
Yeah, big missed chances. Now, the big chances...
But the 2 players that impacted Spurs in a positive way the most off the bench have anyone. So you could look at it either way. They won us games.
Bench, but there you go. You both said off the bench. So are they bench players, which we want Johnson to be a starter? Not a bench player.
Yeah, of course we do, and I think a lot of it is based from Johnson. Not what you're saying, but generally around the price tag, and of course I think that we overpaid for him. Maybe it wasn't even the right player, but I think why he's here, you have to back him. And like, look at it here, more assistant. Obviously has, you said Alexander-Arnold. That's fine. You don't have that, but you can have Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard. You can have lots of players in there. Kai Havertz. Who apparently had a great season. So you look at that, Brennan Johnson's in that conversation. I don't think in terms of, again, maybe not regular starter, but a player that doesn't get the credit.
In his statistics, Harry, him, Johnson, Kulusevski, there's a whole list of players. All their goals and assists were against like the bottom 10 or something.
Doesn't matter. Still got to win those games. Spurs haven't done that in recent years. That's been our downfall.
What I'm saying is
got over the line. You look under Pochettino, the reason we didn't get over the line was because we couldn't beat small oppositions. We now can do that with players like Johnson and Werner who can impact off the bench. Marc, I feel like you've got something to say.
Johnson arrived on the last day of the window, had no pre-season with Ange, and was literally thrown in because Solomon got injured and then Perisic got injured. So you were down to, or already down to the bare bones. Just on Haz's point, wanting a 25 goal a season striker and 15 goal a season wingers. Just looking at the top two.
Those are just estimates, by the way. I wasn't saying like fixed.
I know, but I'm just saying. I think if you had wingers that scored 10 goals, I'd be over the moon. Trossard 10, Trossard 12, Saka 16, Havertz 13. That was their top three.
But they didn't win the title, though, Mark.
Yeah, no 20. Okay, let's look at. Should we look at the?
And one of the reasons they didn't win the title was because they didn't have a top striker.
Okay. I mean,
so if you add another 12, 15 goals to that three with the striker, say you had instead of the 13 with Havertz, you had 20 or 25.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I'm saying estimates, by the way. That could have bridged the gap between them and City.
Possibly. But that's, City had Haaland with 27 and Foden with 19. And then Alvarez was the only one in double figures with 11. And he was off the bench.
Yeah, I know.
But the rest, and they won the league. You want to look at Villa. Watkins, not even 20. Leon Bailey, 10. Were their top two. So they're two in double figures. So I think if you can get a 20 goal a season striker and wingers that score 10, make 10, I think if you've got three of those, which we should have, then I think you're going to be there. You're going to be closer. I still think the issues are in midfield, personally, but that's just me.
I agree. And if I was being honest with you, Mark, if it was my Spurs team in my head, I'd go out there and sign a top number 6. But the way Ange plays, we know he won't flex defensively. So therefore, I think we just need to make sure we're doing what we're doing in an attacking sense, scoring goals. And
I'm in your
kind of silly term outscore the opposition.
Getting a number 6.
Well,
do you know what?
I would have personally gone with a strong 6. But
what's key to this, and this was the big problem that I think we had last year, was none of our forward line kept hold of the ball a lot. So it put a lot of pressure on our midfield and our defenders. Now we could go out and get a top number 6. Don't get me wrong, but that might stop 10 goals. We conceded 61 goals last year, right?
Too many.
Which is two worse than the season before. But yet, not one of us on this panel would change our back four, including Dragic in that sense. So the front line, I think for him, the only person, and this is where you looked at the tactics bit. The only person in the front line that could keep hold of the ball, but everyone was moaning about it because of why was he playing every game in Ange, was Kulusevski. And he was the bit missing piece of the jigsaw because Son couldn't really keep it, as you said earlier. Werner can't really keep it. He was more back running. Johnson can't really keep it. So the ball, we kept losing the ball at our possession at that front three. We just kept losing and it kept coming back. It would create goals, but we just couldn't keep it. And I think that's what the biggest issue here is. And that is why we're going to go on to that. Let you talk about it next. This is why Solanke and Ivan Toney are being linked with us, because they're going to hold up the ball up top better than what we've got at the moment. Richarlison, to be fair to him, is not the best at holding up the ball, but he's good at getting in certain areas. And this is the problem that we have at Spurs right now, because like Mark said, you're naming teams there that have basically scored how many goals, and we're not going to get a 25 goal season, man. However, difference between is that they're better at keeping the ball than our front three were, and that's the bit where we just need to have that happy medium.
I completely agree with every word, which is unusual for me because I do like to disagree with people. Haz it,
yeah. At least you're honest.
I'm going to take that as a massive compliment.
49th season as a season ticket holder coming up. I've got an opinion. Harry will tell you, I've got an opinion.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Sorry, Harry. I just need to come out and say it. It just made sense.
No, it's great. No, I love it, and obviously Mark, you've been on here as well, and I know that it wouldn't be a normal show, would it, without you disagreeing with someone? But that's what we like, a bit of a healthy debate.
Look, I respect everyone's opinions, but I don't have to agree with them. And I don't ask people to agree with mine. It's my opinion.
No, exactly.
I watch football through my eyes, and that's how I see it. Yeah, I don't think our forward line's as bad as. No, that's the wrong word. I don't think it needs completely revamping. I think it's something you do over a period of time. I'm very conscious of what's coming through the academy, and I want to see them given an opportunity because I think if we lose some of these boys, it will be a tragedy.
That's a possibility, though. It's happened before. Yeah, with Makunde, it's happened before.
I did
25
under 21 games last season. A lot of them home, some of the away games, Colchester and Cambridge and stuff, all midweek stuff. And I've seen a lot of them, and I'm genuinely excited. Some of these boys are going to be top class.
But when are they going to get the chance, though, Mark? When will they get the chance?
This is the balancing act that the club have got to find.
Drives me mad.
The problem is, Mark, is that we had an opportunity, for example, to use Dorrington and Phillips last season when we had those injury issues at the back. And bearing in mind, people said last season was a transitional quote-unquote season or a write-off season, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But we didn't use them there. So it's like, well...
Yeah, I agree.
I would have played Dorrington and Phillips with those injuries.
Personally, I probably would have played Phillips, but I'd have played Phillips, not Dorrington. Alfie's not ready just yet. Centre backs are slightly different. You don't see many 18, 19, 20-year-old centre backs in the Premier League. They're 22, 23, and those 2-3 years make a huge difference. There's a lot of growing up to do as a centre back. One mistake and you can see.
Do you know what age Ledley King made his debut? It was like 1999, wasn't it? So,
yeah, Ledley. I can
have
a quick look for you. I think he was either 18 or 19, but he made his debut in midfield.
Yeah, because you're right. He started as a DM, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. He was born. Oh, my wedding anniversary, 12th of October. So he would have been 19.
Yeah.
He'd have been 19 when he made his debut, but as I said, he debuted in midfield.
I just look at the likes of Mikey Moore and Donnelly in particular and go that, like, we had early on in the season where we played Wolves, West Ham, we really struggling to put a team out, and it was depleted, Emerson Royals, etc. in their skips. And I'm thinking, what have the youth got to do? When will they get a chance? Because in the end, we're going to sell them. We could, even if you're not going to keep them, it raises their value. I just don't understand why they aren't given an opportunity. I'll get it next year with Europe, and if we don't have the same injury problems, but I don't get it in a transitional period. That's when you want to try players.
Donnelly's the one that really staggers me because Maddison was missing and he'd have been perfect just to sit in that pocket.
Yeah.
Mikey Moore had a couple of injuries early in the season and he was only just coming back from quite a bad injury the last season at the beginning of this season. So I get that one, but Anne sort of corrected that towards the back end of the season. I think he had him for 6 weeks and was on the bench for 4 games, came on in 2.
Yeah.
So I you know what? I think that was about right. And then he was brilliant for England at the under-17 Euros. Just England couldn't defend or have a decent goalkeeper or take a penalty. In the end,
apart
from that, they were fine. But if you look through the age group at England level, everyone's going on about no Spurs players in the England squad for the Euros, and it is a shame because we seem to have always had them. But if you look through the age groups, there is 2 or 3 in every single age group from 16s to 21s. We are the dominant team in providing England players through the age groups at the moment, and that's what they want. They want to produce a production line, and hopefully this little batch at the beginning are going to be the start of it. And nothing would give all of us more pleasure than seeing us win a trophy with 3 or 4 homegrown players in that team.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see a younger team. At least when I know we won't win anything, but we're doing better. Like your Pochettino, and it's a really young team and full of English players. And all of a sudden, both things go. But I do want to move on because we've got some breaking news this morning that came from football transfers. Believe them or not, that say Tottenham have reached an agreement on personal terms with Ivan Toney and Brentford have rejected so far Spurs' opening 40 million bid. They value Toney at 65 million, but they'd be apparently happy to accept 55. Haz, I want to kick it off with you. What are your thoughts on Ivan Toney? Would you pay the money? Is it one of those that you don't? Well, my case is you don't like the attitude, but it's a goal scorer, so bring him in.
I think with Ivan Toney, because of his attitude and what happened with the gambling and stuff, and if you look at Toney at Newcastle, who's missed, or how is it, over a year now, for me, it's not worth the risk because for all we know, something else might crop up in like 6 months, and he could be gambling still again. But also just on the back of like, obviously Toney himself, he's only already had 1 20-goal season. So it's not really exactly like a foregone conclusion that we bring him in, he scores 20 goals and guarantees us the goals we missed from Harry Kane, for example. So I think with respect to those points, I'm not really keen on Toney.
No, fair enough. You're keen on Toney. That's absolutely fine. Marlon, what are your thoughts on Ivan Toney? There's a lot of, shaking of the head. Justify why?
I don't think we'll go for anyone. Well, I don't think we'll.
What would you do? What would you do?
What I would do? Am I Ange?
You are for now on this show.
Look, if I'm looking at it from a perspective as I'm the Spurs manager, yeah, I personally wouldn't. Look, his age is a stopgap, but at the same time, I'm looking at going, well, my English quota is completely messed up because the club have messed that up completely this year. So we need more English players through the door. He does score goals, no matter if it's 12 or 20 or 4, as he's done in the last 3 seasons. He does score goals. Look, when you say an attitude problem, forget the gambling for a second. He just believes in himself. He does. He believes in himself. And to believe in yourself, sometimes you got to have an attitude. You ain't going to get Harry Kane where you believe in yourself. Like Harry Kane behind the scenes, he knew he was top dog, right? Gareth Bale knew he was top dog, right? So these players, you will get them. It's depending on how the manager, when he first meets Toney, because you have to meet him first, and they've done their due diligence, will have to see what he's like as a person, right? The club will know. The club will know. And Dombele, forget that because he was overseas. But with Toney, he's been at Newcastle. He's been in long enough in the game. They'll know. For me personally, I would probably sign him, right? Because considering it depends on Richarlison for me. It all depends on Richarlison, and he gets injured again most times as well.
We need 2 strikers, though, don't we? Really?
Because you look at you saw how we were when we played midweek and then we went and played at the weekend. We were terrible, right? And it's going to get even worse next year because we've got to try and play consistently. So for me personally, I would sign him. I wouldn't throw the money, but the one thing I wouldn't do, right, and this is going to be weird coming from me, I wouldn't go and throw the 60 million at him. I think it needs to be negotiated. It needs to be negotiated because it's a lot of money to be throwing out at someone who's only got a year left on his contract as well. So this is
he's not being funny.
Yeah.
He's not worth 65
million.
He's
not worth 65 million.
He's hardly played in a year.
Yeah. So you're kind of looking at it. If they go and spend 40 million on him, fine. If it's anything beyond and it's going to go into other areas that we need to, like if it goes into the Eze budget, if for talking purposes and stuff like that, then you need to start asking yourself questions. But at the present moment, I'm just going with, I just need goals in there. I need guaranteed goals. And the way this system works, Toney will score goals in it.
No, fair enough. And I don't like the attitude, to be honest with you. And the gambling thing, maybe it is a separate thing. But if you look at that in the interviews he's done, he didn't really apologise or acknowledge what he done was wrong. And I think that's quite a big thing here that just isn't talked about. He couldn't acknowledge it. I think that, confidence is all right. But like on TalkSport the other day asked, are you England's best penalty taker? You can be confident in yourself, but anyone knows that Kane will be your best, England taker. Just dropped the mic and he said, well, take from that what you want. We know what he's trying to say. For me, it goes too far. But and I'm someone in football, I don't care how you do it. You just have to sometimes get a result. Toney will do that. So I can't see it working with Ange in terms of Ange want the perfect dressing room. And I'm all for that. But you're saying, Toney, what you want to win, and players like Toney will get you over the line because they're a prolific goal scorer. Mark, where do you stand with Toney? It's not something we've talked about too much on the show because Tottenham have never really been in the discussion. It's been Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, but Tottenham all of a sudden entering the conversation.
I think I agree with Marlon. I think there's a price limit here, and I think in my mind, if we offered him 35 million and gave them Reguilon as well, I think it'd be a great deal. I don't like him as a human being, as a person. I think he just comes across as very arrogant. There was very little remorse, or if any, to do with gambling, and he's got a very high opinion of himself, which I don't actually have too much of a problem with footballers if you've got the ability to back it up and you've got the numbers and you can show you can back it up. I've already expressed my concerns about harmony within the dressing room. Would Ange want to control him a bit more? Not sure, because then you take something away from him as a player. If we brought in Toney, Gallagher, and Eze, you've got 3 English players there. Possibility, but you're looking at probably the thick end of 150 odd million quid. But you are saving 12 million quid now that Ndom Fatbelly's gone. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. But there's plenty more. Højbjerg will go, and 1 or 2 others will go. So I think there'll be plenty enough money to spend that. But if that's your 3 players, then we're short. We're massively short because there's the 2 fullback areas both need covering.
I'd be very surprised if Emerson Royale stays, to be honest with you, and that's
why. Then we've got no cover for Porro, and you can't expect him to play 60 games a season. Right. That's just not going to happen. I mean, you can fiddle around on the left side. You can play Van der Ven there, as the Netherlands do. City play a centre back, left back with either Gvardiol or Ake. Arsenal played Ben White. Newcastle played Dan Burn.
Rotational players though they have. There
are plenty of players that could, plenty of ways of doing that. So you give Doggy a break, and he doesn't have the injury problems, or because of how much energy he puts into his game.
He can't play.
And you get Dragusin in the starting lineup, which after today you can see what I mean. He's 22 years of age. He was brilliant today, absolutely brilliant. And the Romanian fans were just chanting his name for about 20 minutes. They just love him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that, Mark, because I actually want to move on to that next. And Haz, I will come to you because I saw your post along the lines of Dragusin, why didn't he get his chance early? Why hasn't he had more minutes? Or so for you, I mean, I want to put it out here. Would you take either Romero or Van der Ven out? Would you change the system? Because I think both were as bold as each other.
Okay, so when Udogie got injured last season, our manager was fiddling, playing Emerson left back, playing Davies left back, playing this
Skip.
Skip. And the most obvious choice was to move Van der Ven to left back and play Dragusin in the middle. I mean, coming from someone who's actually watched him play for Netherlands at left back before that injury happened, because I watched him play against Greece and like another team. I was like, why are we not going to put him there when Udogie got injured? I was like, this is ridiculous. But in terms of like long term, I don't think we'll ever do this, but we do have the players to be able to play a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, but he won't do it. So you can get that. But Dragusin deserves more minutes. And I think with 2 games a week, he has to be starting a lot more.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to happen, is it, to change the system? But again, if it was my Spurs, it would be a change.
What I would say in this case with Dragusin is, I don't think we need to go out. And this is from someone who doesn't really. I'm not a massive fan of this player, but I'd keep Davies 1 more year, and then I'd have my 4 centre halves of those 4. It's just, and then you with moving Van der Ven there and putting Davies there, or the other way around. Yeah. Because we can't. I don't think we can go out and sign 2 fullbacks this summer if we're going to go and fix the attack as well.
That's priorities, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing you can do, and Harry, you know I've said this before, play Romero in the 6.
Yeah, you did say that.
He's more than capable. He is more.
When you said it, I had a look, and I looked at games like Man City, Sheffield United. He does drive into midfield, so I don't think it would be. I mean, I've heard worse claims, and I'm not going to name the individual. Stanley can't be with us tonight, but I've heard Emerson Royale midfield. I've heard some bonkers things.
Romero's a footballer.
As far as I'm concerned, that's reasonable.
A lot of people actually been saying Romero is a number 6 mark, because there's someone else. I don't know if you're Adrian, but he's been saying that for like months. Yeah,
I know.
Oh yeah,
we have discussed this.
Oh, okay. I was like, every stream on, he's like, let's put Kuti in the 6. Literally.
Yeah, he'll be playing. He'll be playing a centre back for Argentina this summer.
If he played the number 6, the only thing will be, I think he'd get too many yellows. That's the issue. I think that he get caught in that side of the game again.
I'm not saying playing there every game.
No.
I think they mean in terms of like the way we use Dyer when Poch used Dyer in that sort of sense.
I think you can use him against when you're playing against Man City up against Rodri. You can use him against Arsenal up against Rice. Make him feel really uncomfortable. Put them on the back foot. Those are where I'd use him.
What I would do, because I think that attack's a big priority. I think the fullback's a big priority. So I'd sacrifice the number 6 because there's a player that we haven't discussed who I think can actually play the number 6 role. And I've said it before. And this individual's best performance was in that position, and it is Rodrigo Bentancur. The first half against Aston Villa, before he came off injured, he played as a progressive 6. He gives me like almost like Moussa Dembele vibes in terms of that protection that Rodri and Rice offer, can glide with the ball. I think he'd be very good at it. Obviously, I'd have him as a deep 6, but also being allowed to progress. I think that's the closest in this team. I'm going to be totally brutal. I don't think Basuma is consistent enough to do it with Europe, and I would look to sell him, but I think that's generally unpopular. I mean, it's only been a season. I'm all for players having a second season, but you look at him at Brighton, he was good. When he was really good, he was on it. It was world class, but it's never sustainable with Basuma. And with a number 6 in an unsystem, it has to be sustainable. And I think Bentancur will give you that. João Paulinho will give you that. So
then, Harry, with João Paulinho, he won't. Apart from the fact I've heard that Spurs don't want him because of his age. I don't think Andrew wants that kind of number 6. As in, I want that kind of number 6. You might want that kind of.
No, but we do better because of it, though.
Sit and just let the other players say, instead of having 2 players back every attack, have at least 3.
That's why you play Bentancur there, because he can do more than just sit and glide with the ball and create.
So there's a big problem with that.
That's fine.
There is a big problem with that, and this was the problem that Juventus had with him. When he's playing that deep, he tends to, when he gets the ball drop in, and you saw it parts of when he played last, he gives the ball away in dangerous areas, which then puts us on the back foot. And your point about Basuma, again, Basuma wasn't playing number 6 at Brighton. He was playing in the number 8 role. So that's him.
And he's better at it, yeah, and
he's better at it. So again, going back to Mark's point, and look, at the end of the day, I don't want to be sticking Romero in a number 6. I want to go out and get 2 competent midfielders that can play there. If one's out, one goes in. You don't want to be doing what we're doing because you're putting a lot of pressure again on a very good defense, right? And you don't really want to take Romero out, who is our best defender. I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
He was statistically our best defender. Like Van der Ven was brilliant, and I love him, but Romero was so good last season. You don't really want to take a World Cup winner out of his position to shoehorn him in another. Right, I get if there was injuries on the pitch and you had to play Romero 6, you brought Dragoshin on and it was just 20 minutes here and there. You don't really want to do that. So for me, Spurs need to make, not Spurs, but Ange needs to make a choice, or the club needs to make a choice. You go out and get the number 6 and go get 1 to play and then 1 to come in, right? Or do you shoehorn other players in? That's been our problem last year. We were shoehorning players in defence when, at the end of the day.
Because the problem was the squad was so short of short of players, and the injuries just crippled us.
Also, he didn't really want to play Højbjerg or Skip either. So
and he didn't want those 2. So you're then stuck in a situation where you've got all these players you can't play like in prime positions, right? Yes, Romero was missing for 3 or 4 games that he got suspended for, right? To be fair to Davis and Royale, considering how they are, they didn't actually do that bad. But it was just because, again, it goes back to the same problem. Our forward line weren't keeping the ball long enough, which meant they were put under pressure. So you're kind of stuck in that.
Agree with that.
So you're again stuck in the same situation. So for me, go out and get your number 6, or go out and just do something. There's certain positions you need to make that core. Right, you need your central defense, your number 6, and your attack. There's a 3 in the line that need to be your consistent. If we used to have that with when we had Wanyama, Kane, and Vertonghen at the time, and everyone else just fitted in.
I think the current best out there, obviously we know Rodri and Rice, but it's available is João Paulinho, who obviously I expect will go to Bayern. I know that obviously his age, but for 3 or 4 years he could do a very good job, and he'll be involved in a trophy winning Bayern because he will protect that defence and make the likes of Dyer look even better than they actually are.
I don't think Anderson was progressive enough, Harry. That's the only thing.
No, I know Ange won't, but it's when you're flexible as a manager. Look at Pep. We talked about defenders being flexible. That's why he wins things. If he's stubborn and goes, I can't have Ake there. I can't have Stones there. That limits your capabilities as a manager. So Ange's got to open his eyes a little bit. I mean, he's been in management long enough to know that you're going to have to be flexible. We haven't seen enough flexibility until we got to the Manchester City game, which a lot of us didn't really care about.
If you look at Arsenal and City though, right? So you've got Ben White and Ake are very key to this because one's playing at left back and one's playing at right back. But what you'll notice is they defenders are back three. With us, we were defending as a 2, right?
Thank you.
When they got caught short, your wingers, you had the Doggy and Porro so far forward.
But that's why you need a DM sitting there, sitting in front of the 2.
But Rice, if you saw last season, Rice and Rodri, how many goals did they score because they were
joining? Yeah, they were high. Yeah,
because they knew that if Ben White had gone, Rodri would sit in, or not Ben White, Rice would sit in, and vice versa if Ake had gone.
Also, Rice played with Jorginho when Arsenal, in my opinion, were at their best. Rice played with Partey or Jorginho, and one of them would drop, one of them would go.
Yeah,
I guess.
And they would have that understanding.
They're both, in my opinion, like number 6s more than number 8s. As players.
So it just depends. Yeah. So
Jorginho's more an 8.
Yeah.
Jorginho's more of an 8.
But he would sit there. He would literally sit there, get the ball, and he allowed Rice to go forward and back and cover. But this is what I'm saying. What's wrong with the system is that we keep leaving the 2, and that's where Van der Ven's pace came in. Why he didn't want to play
against Newcastle,
right? And it just kept exposing us in that sense. So he needs to come up with a system or he needs to adjust in that way to go. If he's going to play the 4, sometimes. You have to, like when Van der Ven went left back against, let's take the Sheffield. I know it was Sheffield United, but look how more comfortable they looked as an 11 because someone was standing there, right? Whereas if you're playing a Ben Davis who ain't got no pace, you can't get up, it just ain't gonna work. But we'll see how next season goes because there's so many. Like we've been linked with more defenders in this window than we have attackers, so they're obviously looking at the defense in some shape or form. Who knows? He might try a 3 next year. You never know.
I think
it's more cover than anything else because you're going to lose Emerson. You've lost Sessegnon. I know he didn't play, but he was still in the squad. Davis is coming to the end of his career, and obviously Dyer went, Sanchez went, and yes, Van der Ven and eventually Dragerson came in. We still don't have any cover at fullback. We really don't have any cover at fullback now. If Emerson goes, that's it. It's academy players covering fullback.
Yeah.
So we need cover on both sides. The lad at Monaco has been touted. Honestly, I've never seen him play, so I can't comment.
But it's 40 million. So
that's slightly less than we paid for Porro, who. I can't understand why he's not in the Spain squad. That has got to be the biggest crime of the summer. How he has, after the season he's had, how he's not in that Spain squad is ridiculous.
I know he's on the other side, but you see like some Marc Cucurella in there who were below par last season, and Porro really hitting the heights up there with the very best in that position in the league and Europe.
That's a really polite way of describing Cucurella's season.
I suppose we have to look at Spain. Spain are probably heavy, got so many good players on the right side, but not on the left side. Not so great.
I don't think they have though.
But they've got Carvajal, which I understand why he's in there, but he's 33, and the other right back that's in there, I think he's 35. And as the longer the tournament goes on, after the season, certainly the season Carvajal's had and the amount of games he's played. Surely you want.
It's probably their last tournament, though. These players,
he's probably looking at Porro going. He's going to get another 2 or 3 out of it, and if we're being realistic about the situation, like Porro's defending last season was questioned a lot. No matter if he improved on it or not, his assist going forward was brilliant. So maybe it's just the system that Spain played to the reason why. The other 2 right backs, but just more better defensively than he is, and the way Spain play, they literally took Croatia apart. So apart from Cucurella, I totally agree, but he's on the left. But look at us. If you look at England, for not taking a left back, you saw what Trippier because he wasn't able to be in certain positions, which meant that everyone's now questioning Foden and Bellingham. But actually, if Luke Shaw took a fit Tyrick Mitchell, we could be having a different conversation today.
I had this conversation with someone earlier about England's left side and right side.
We're going to get on to England.
Are we? Oh, okay. I'll hold that.
Yeah,
I'll hold that.
Hold on.
Sorry.
We actually have a plan.
France have just gone 1-0 up against
Yeah, I
Austria.
know. I've got it in the back.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah, as
unfortunate
expected.
own goal. Very
Yeah, it
unfortunate.
was very unlucky actually.
Really unlucky.
Obviously, you've got the surprise earlier result with Belgium losing. I don't think. Well,
I mean, Romania being
many
Ukraine
saw
was
that coming.
a big surprise.
I don't think it was a surprise, but 3-0 was a surprise. I thought it'd be tight affair, maybe a draw.
Because Ukraine were favourites,
Romania
100%. Yeah.
Hey, it's funny. I was going to say you go a goal up in the first half and then go for the jugular just after half time. Maybe someone want to tell Southgate that. Just a thought.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
You know what? I'm not going to criticise Southgate as everyone else does, but I do question that Trippier and not taking another left back.
Does anyone else really nearly fall asleep? Yeah, I really have to struggle to keep. I find it really. I don't know if it's international football in general. I find it really
England's
boring.
England's second
it really
half
dragged yesterday. That was awful. Another 3-4 minutes and we can see without doubt. But it's the win, and we'll get onto it literally very soon because I want to go around the panel and think about what your ideal starting 11 would look like next season. It's a very kind of brief question, I know, but it's realistic to the players we've got. Yeah.
Can we have players that we want to sign in it though? But be realistic.
Hang on. Absolutely. So listen, but I don't want to see Mbappe, Ronaldo.
Oh, you don't want me to put Mbappe
in there.
Mbappe's already joined Real Madrid, so you can't have
exactly.
It anyway.
So that's why it's unrealistic. So realistic 11. So have a think, because I'm not going to go in any particular order. Haz, I'll come to you first. Always got a lot to say. Can you back it up with your 11?
All right. So I guess the back five kind of picks itself. Vicario.
You can change formation, by the way, just because Ange won't. It's your team. What you would do?
But then, realistically, he's not going to change anything because I'm just going to keep it like that.
What would you do? Forget about Ange. This is what you would do. I want to see and compare. Forget Ange.
Just seeing the same back four as normal with Dogi, Porro, Van de Ven, Romero, Vicario. And then midfield, because even if we sign a Gallagher, I wouldn't really start him personally. So I'd probably go with Bentancur, Maddison, and Sarr. That's probably my three, I guess. And then a front three, it's going to hold it different. In the ideal world, I'll sign Isak up front, and Eze on the right, and Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian winger, on the left. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
No. That's what I'd like to see. But
I suppose it's not totally unrealistic. But I said with Isak, if we have to spend big on one player, then it be Alexander Isak, who's really strong with his left and right. He's fantastic goal scorer.
I think the problem is with the striker market. There's no one like 10, 15 years ago. You look at the market, and you see like Torres, Drogba, all these other strikers, right? But you look now and you think. We talk about Solanke and Toney, who had each of them had 20-goal season. But back in the day, you'd have loads of strikers scoring, at least more options, say, if you looked at the market with 20 goals. Like we signed Defoe back in the day, Robbie Keane, Berbatov from Germany, who were averaging those sorts of 15 to 20 goal seasons every year. Because with Toney and Solanke, you're talking about strikers we're signing off one good season, really, in reality. And in Solanke's case, it's only in the recent future. And look, his age is 20.
Doesn't that happen with a lot of players, though, really, signing players off first season? We look at Vicario, Udogie, Van de Ven. It's all one season that they've impressed. I think they've all turned out to be the right choice, but they've all been based off one season, really. I know what you mean. I think you're right.
Is a bit different, though, because I think with defenders, it's easier to sort of like improve upon in terms of... with Porro, I still think he can improve defensively. Vicario, even though he's 27, which is in other positions quite old for a keeper,
it'd be big for Vicario next season in terms of with Europe as well, and kind of look at. Sorry to interrupt, but with Arsenal, with Ramsdale, who've done a really good job with them for a year or two, but all of a sudden they thought, to win something, maybe we need that goalkeeper's the next level up. If you like, I'm not necessarily saying that with Vicario, because I think he's been exceptional behind I didn't obviously know about it when we signed him, but I was like, give him a chance, and he's been absolutely exceptional, really good. And I wanted him to see go all through next season, but it'd be quite big to him to see, because with Europe, teams will try that, will apply pressure on him. How can he cope with 2 games a week? I think it'd be interesting.
I think whatever striker we sign, unless it's someone like Isak or that sort of level, I don't know where we're going to say, this is guaranteed 20 goals. Because I think with Isak, his age plays a factor because he's a bit younger. Solanke's like 28, Toney's like around that. So, I think Isak has more room for improvement. Whilst if you're signing them, they're only hitting their their best seasons now. Are they going to carry on, or was it just like one a flash in the pan sort of thing? Like, you just don't know. Yeah.
Who knows? Marlon, what would your 11 look like?
So back 4 as it is, Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van Ven, and Doggy. I'd try and sign that guy Edison from Atlanta to sit as the DM. We've been linked with him. I know Liverpool have been linked with him, but if we could, that'd be someone to go for. I put Basuma next to him, just to see how he plays at number 8, as they call it nowadays. Maddison behind the striker. Brian Mbuemo from Brentford, who I want on the right. Vlahovic, the guy from Juventus, or Raul Jimenez to be the striker, and then Eze on the left.
Raul Jimenez?
Not Raul Jimenez, the Feyenoord guy, Mexican, the other guy.
Santiago Jimenez.
Santiago, that's the guy, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think we're going behind Richarlison here with Raul Jimenez.
Like Santiago, yeah, the guy from Feyenoord, yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's a relief.
That would be my perfect front row. Brian Mbuemo has been one I've been calling for, like, since I saw Ange come in and seeing the way he played for Brentford from September to December when he picked up. I think he'd be perfect. Scores goals, gets behind the wingers, goes to the byline. It'd just be absolutely brilliant. But it depends on pricing and all that. And Brentford, don't like to do favours for Spurs. So.
But no one's really been linked with him at all.
No one's been linked. Liverpool have.
Have they? Really?
Yeah, about a couple of weeks ago for the first time. But he's someone I think is just everyone's sleeping on him. If that's me being honest, I think he had a good little half of the season until he got injured.
Okay, Mark, what would your?
I'm just looking at Mbuemo's numbers. They're quite interesting. The last 2 seasons, he scored 9 Premier League goals from the wide, and obviously he picked up.
How old is he now?
He's 25.
25, yep.
Okay.
Well, it's 24. He'll be 25 just as the season starts, 7th of August. So
that's not bad.
That's the first thing I looked at because I honestly thought he was late 20s, but he's obviously everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks that, and that's the.
I thought it was 27, 28. Yeah,
everyone thinks that, and every time I mention his name,
he hasn't aged that well.
Yeah, no.
I'd leave the back 5 with the goalkeeper, back 4 goalkeepers as is, as most would. I would stop myself from putting Romero in the 6. Even, but I would have to give myself a stern talking to. I'd probably go with Sarr, and I'd go Sarr and Gallagher, in sort of a double pivot 2, and then 3 behind 1. So then I'd go Eze, Maddison, Son behind. In an ideal world, for me, Gyökeres. I just like him. I just think he just provides an awful lot, and he works hard, and he's quick, and he's strong.
Okay.
But
that's good.
I would have picked him as well, but that'd be all my budget gone.
Yeah.
Well, there is a negotiation with Sporting Lisbon on Gyökeres, in that we still own 35% of the
Edwards
sell-on clause for Marcus Edwards. We could wipe that out, and that.
But we've been able to sign Edwards, so I don't even know.
No point signing him.
Yeah. No, I'm saying we've been linked to signing.
But the only reason you sign him is because there was
homegrown thing.
Well, he'd be club trained homegrown, but he wouldn't be because he was out on loan and he was he didn't do 3 years.
What's
in
the rules for
academy
this club trained players? How many do you need to have?
Three
Mark,
years. It's 3 years
without being
in the
loaned
academy
out.
between 16 and 21,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
which is
And
why
you can't be
Madueke
you can't be loaned out
doesn't.
in between that as well. So if you've done 2 years and been loaned out, it doesn't count.
No, which is why they had to make Divine stay the season before last, and he didn't get a loan before that because he joined at 16 and he had to do his 3 years in our academy. So now he is club trained homegrown, but he's still under 21.
We've been with Cole Peters as well, haven't we? Yeah,
he would definitely be club trained homegrown.
He'd be club trained.
Because I know as the goal made a tweet about this, I didn't really fully understand in terms of how many club trained players we needed to have. It was just
and Sar's the other one. Sar would have been homegrown had he been a European citizen, but he's not.
Oh, okay.
So he's non-EU. So Arsenal got round it with Saliba. They loaned him out 3 years running.
I remember,
He counts as club trained homegrown for them because of the age that he was loaned out. But because he's an EU citizen, that gets around that rule. Sar is not. Sar's obviously African,
he's
so
from Senegal. Yeah.
So the loans don't actually. They stop him from becoming homegrown, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But excuse my language, but
that's all right. Thank you. Before we get on to fixture list and England, I want to give my lineup, and it doesn't help. I got 2 here because I'm in my own question. I struggle to answer because it does really depend on the opposition we're playing against.
That's one.
Right. All right. I'm gonna go with the second one. So I think that when you're playing low block teams, it would look different. But this is going to go with my team, which I'd play against your bigger team. So Vicario in goal. The back, it kind of fives the same with your Doggy, Porro, Romero, and Van der Ven. Then we move on to midfield. Paulinho would be my 6. I don't think it will happen for 1 minute. I just don't think it will happen. It'd be Bentancur and Sarr in midfield. I think Bentancur, I didn't think we've seen watching last season because of injury, but I think, to be honest, he's probably our best midfielder. I put him ahead of Maddison in terms of can unlock a defence, in terms of ability. I just don't think he gets the credit he deserves, and Sarr's the engine room in that midfield. Then we move on to the front 3. Eze will be on that left-hand side. I really like him in that role more than a 10. I think he hugs the touchline really well, and I think will do really well in Ange's system. And he can come inside when Doggy comes up, Eze comes in. I think that's flexible. Toney would be my number 9. I did think I'd be saying that a few months ago, but it looks like he'll be the one. And Maddison would be on the right, which is interesting. I want to try that, obviously going back to his Norwich days. So that'd be my lineup. And the other one I had, I will read it out, is when we play low block teams. So the back five's the same. Bentancur will be the 6, but progressive 6. Maddison and Sarr will be in the midfield. Eze and Toney's the same, left-hand side and striker. But Johnson would be on the right. See, that's the difference. So that's the 2 teams I've got. And I can't decide between the 2 because, I don't like to leave Johnson out. If I leave Maddison out, then there'll be a huge uproar. I don't like to leave Johnson out. It's about who you pick. And Johnson and Maddison are I like a lot, so it's hard.
And who do you pick when we play away to Dynamo Cheeky Girls in the Europa League?
I'd go with Bentancur.
Okay.
In Europe, it would mainly be a more progressive system with Bentancur, but I don't think we should have one lineup. It should be dependent on the opposition. We're playing Man City. I don't really want Bentancur as a 6. I think we get absolutely eaten alive. If we're playing your equivalents to Burnley's or your Leicester's, maybe it depends on the manager who comes in terms of the way they play, but not that strong of an opposition. And I'd feel comfortable with Bentancur as a 6. But Paulinho, you'd want in your big 6 games in your London derbies, if you like.
Yeah.
Question though: Do we take the Europa League seriously?
Yes, Owen wants to take it seriously.
Absolutely.
So the question is then, because you just mentioned that obviously when you go and play Manchester City or you go and play the Premier League game at the weekend, who are you going to have your strongest lineup against? Because you can't sit there and you're not going to have it the best of both worlds, unfortunately. I know we're going to be rotating.
It depends on who you're playing. I really wouldn't treat it in terms of Europa League, Premier League, black and white, first, second team.
I'm just going to remind people of Nora here. Nora, just going to remind people of that. Because you saw how bad that was when we tried to...
No, but the issue is, and I said it Fulham, I would have made 3 changes, and I think that would have been enough for us to win the game. And I think that would be no disrespect to Fulham. We would have 1-2 up, and you make the changes in the game. I'm all for seeing youth, we haven't won a major trophy. I get City doing it and get knocked out. They could do that. They won trophies. They've got a lot to boast about. In Spurs situation, you just got to find a way to get over the line. If it's Builders FC, you still shouldn't make, which we played a lot of them in recent years. Your Zagbregs and your Enes Mura, some horrible days.
Dino
we
Zagreb.
also put the first, Dino Zagreb, 2-0 up in the first leg, lost 3-0. And we struggled with the first team as well. Yeah. So there is that balance. But last year, for me, the lowest point of the season was Fulham by a long, long way in terms of that. Yeah, I don't blame Manchester. He was very new. Don't won't forget that. The cup competition was disrespected.
Problem is, Harry.
Well, let's say I wasn't happy. Marlon knows. Marlon's got it somewhere.
Because I did a podcast with someone else, like a week after the season ended, and we were talking about this priority thing. Actually, ironically, about do we think the club and Andrew will prioritise the cup competitions, and we think overall that they won't. So
is this your podcast with David?
I kind of and we had Dan, Yidvids. I don't know if you know him. He was on our show.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this, and we were saying we don't think if we're basing on previous history or Spurs managers, bar Martin Jol, who did I think put very strong 11s out in the UEFA Cup in his 2-3 seasons he was in there. Most managers have come in, and even Harry Redknapp did this. Yeah. Even Conte and Jose and Poch as well. And remember, we went to Dortmund and played I don't know what 11 it was, but wasn't very good. In the home match, we did the same with Josh. I think Josh Onoma played or something like that. And we always just rested players in these cup competitions to prioritise just finishing 4th in the league. So unless that changes, I'll be very surprised.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah,
I'm all for being in the Champions League, but to go out in the group stage or the round after, it's good to be in it. I love the Champions League. I look forward to the most. I'm very sad that we're not in it, but you've got to be in it to win it, and I do believe that. And I think Arsenal last year, they didn't get into the latter stages, if you like, but they showed a mentality at times that they could go on and win it, and they fought and they come back from difficult situations. I just can't quite see us doing that. But before we do move on, I want a question to Haz, and it's Haz in particular, and that is Ange Postecoglou. Is there any situation where pull the trigger next season? And by the way, I'm not suggesting anything to any listeners, any new listeners. This is a
don't worry, guys.
We'll
click me after this.
No, this is for Haz. No, honestly, no, I won't. This is honest, your thoughts. Yeah. Let's say we lose the first 6 games of the season. What do you do? I want you to be totally honest. There's nothing wrong with your opinion.
Yeah.
But your opinion is different to, I think it should be.
Well,
hopefully it's different to the majority.
Yeah, I'm in the minority. As you guys might know, Ange had the same amount of Premier League / top 5 league experience as us going into last season on the first day of the season. So now he's got that year behind him. In my opinion, if I don't see him being flexible with his tactics within the first 5 games, let's say, so we go away to a Chelsea and he carries on playing this open football, I think there's only one result in terms of our results anyway.
What would you do? If you were Daniel Levy, what would you do?
I mean, Poch is right there. So I'm of the opinion, right? Poch will be here by Christmas.
Would you do anything now before his ball kick? Would you do anything? Obviously, it's not going to happen. Would you do anything?
It's not going to happen now.
No, that's not my question. Would you do anything?
He would.
Yeah,
be honest. You do it now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that from you.
So I just don't think he's gonna honestly, I have massive reservations for Ange because of his general system anyway. Because if we're going to carry on playing 2 at the back, it's only going to be one result.
I like Pochettino.
Should we just wait and see?
Yeah,
I don't have many.
Windows just open. We haven't even had
I think he needs a full second
season.
Seen
the friendly.
Yeah, there's no real situation next season where I think about pulling the trigger.
There's 2 things that might happen, Harry. If we have a bad start, it's possible that Levy might.
But it shouldn't happen though, should it? Because that's the mistake we've always made, and that's why we fall further and further behind. News of Pep Guardiola potentially going next season. This should be our opportunity to stick with the manager, back them, show trust in them. But it's not going to happen.
But will the club do that? That's the question.
18 months. 18 months is when I'm going to start getting itchy feet with Spurs and pulling the trigger with Ange.
Well, it always seems to be late October, early November.
That's why I said Christmas.
It always seems to be that time.
That time.
Where we go on a bad run, and it shouldn't be. Nothing. should happen in that first part of the season. I absolutely hate and despise the thought of sacking someone through a season. If you're going to do it, it has to be after January. October, November. That's disrespectful.
But you have to remember, Harry. This is where the problem's going to be. If he starts the season as he done the last 10 games, the fans are going to be like, "Hold on, wait a minute, what's going on here?" You know, we're losing again. It's starting to see a common theme here. With they're not going to do.
The whole point of a new season is a fresh start. You start again.
No, but
you have that type for it. That's what it should be.
Yeah,
that's why we have won trophies, though. It's that kind of mentality.
But what's going to happen as soon as the ball's kicked? Yeah, everyone's not going to forget what happened in those.
Yeah. I'm in agreement, but it should be forgotten because it's the past.
No, we're not going to forget what happened in the last season.
You can't forget what happened in the past because if Daniel Levy sees a trend, Daniel Levy sees a trend,
the first time since 2004,
and it starts carrying on, and then we're losing. Say we're losing to the top. We're going to get 5 good teams and 5 terrible teams, right? If we don't see an improvement against those top sides, right?
No,
especially teams around us, Newcastle.
But someone like Haz who sat on here and we're going to finish between 9th and 11th. Then we finish 5th, and it's a disaster. Get Ange out.
No, because if you look at the statistics on paper, Harry, statistically speaking,
I don't care about statistics. I go off results.
Spurs are the only team
I go off results and where we are in the table. We finished 5th, and you look at the bookies. Nobody thought we'd get in that top.
No, I'm saying we did because I think Marlon.
Okay, we lost 4 games in a row. There we go. But we beat Liverpool in the first time in a few years. We did lose North London derby. Oh, we did. Well, we did lose.
We lost the home one. We didn't lose the away one.
Didn't lose North London derby away, which is
the way we lost the games. It's not even just that we've lost. It's the way we lost the games.
There was a naivety last season when you have to remember that Vicario, Van der Ven, and Doggy. It was their first season in the Premier League. All 3 of them.
Yeah.
Porro only joined 6 months. Porro only joined 6 months before that. So between 4 of the back 5, there was 6 months Premier League experience. And then we had that shit show against Chelsea where you had injuries, suspensions, and all the rest of it. And you lost 3 players for 3 months.
That's a good point because you also have to add into that our manager had only had 6 months worth of Premier League experience as well. So you have to kind of
he's on like an intern at this point.
Yeah, it's like Romero's been here 3 years. Everyone else has been here weeks.
Exactly. You have to have some context to that, and the squad was threadbare. As soon as you lost Romero and Van der Ven, and we look in, and it's dire, and it really was dire. Unfortunately. Love Eric Dyer as a person, not suited to the way we play. I think you have to look at the context. So I was always going to give him the whole of this next season. I don't think you can give him half a season because that's not fair.
But football isn't really fair, though.
Sorry to interrupt.
It was. I just said I wouldn't be pulling the trigger unless we lost 7, 8, 9, 10 games on the trot. Then you put the reason I think the
scenario is when one day Ramos won the League Cup with us back in 2008, everyone went into that summer, including myself.
You live in the past. That's your problem. You can't get over the fact of what happened 10, 12 years ago, and you.
Whenever I start to bring something up,
but I will interrupt. Marlon has to jump. So Marlon, thank you very much for joining.
So do I. So do I.
Oh, he has to jump as well. Right, that's fine. Marc has to jump as well. Me and Haz, we continue. I'm sure it'll be for longer than we can. But Marlon, firstly, where can people find you?
You can find me over on Spurs Kings TV with Ashmatic and Haz and all the rest of the gang. I'm not really doing much this summer. The rest are, and I'll be back when the season starts. But also, I'll be doing a few stuff on Last Word on Spurs and We Are Tottenham TV as well. Where I am here, there, and everywhere at the moment. But and probably do something with H later on this summer as well. But thanks, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Cheers. No worries. Bye.
See you later. And Marc, where can people find you? Thank you again.
Just on Twitter or X at Marc Spurs. Simple as that.
Everyone a little debate? Everyone a little knowledge about the Youth Academy? Oh, you can go to Marc straight away.
I tell you something. There's Lily White Rose, who I think you would know, and has been.
I know. He's been on there for years.
John is brilliant, and his knowledge runs deeper than the 21s and 18s, which is where I have sort of followed mostly this season. He go through the 16s and 15s and some of the kids that are coming in age 40. I mean, his knowledge is ridiculous. The club should employ him. But he's at most of the under 21, under 18 games as well. So anyway, I got to jump. It's gone 9 o'clock, so I've got. I have to be somewhere.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Harry,
Have a great evening.
I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Mark. See you later. And it's just me and you, Haz. To finish off, I want to go over the fixture list because you know tomorrow, or obviously people, I don't know who you are. Listen, for us, this is being live recorded Monday. They come out Tuesday, some point Tuesday. I don't know when the fixtures are released.
9 a.m. apparently.
9 a.m. Yeah, it's usually in the morning, isn't it? And I'm surprised I haven't got any leaks yet. Usually every year you get leaks. I expect they'll be first thing tomorrow morning. They're never ever correct. But who do you want first game of the season or first few games? What do you want it to look like ideally?
In an ideal world, I want some sort of teams that finish like, I don't know, between 9th and 8th, 9th to 15th, because I don't really want like a really hard start, and I don't really want promoted teams at the beginning either, because promoted sides in the first few games, I think sometimes are always very unpredictable about what you're going to get with them. Like I'm not really keen on playing. Who want to play a final again? Southampton. So in the first few games, because they'll be up for it, like proper up for it. And obviously the Leicesters with Harry Winks returning, and teams like that. I'm not actually quite keen on the bottom block, because they tend to be quite hard actually, the promoted sides in the first few games, I find. And obviously I don't really want to play against Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool in the first few games. Obviously, bearing in mind Liverpool, I have a new manager, so they will have the new manager bounce most likely. And I don't even know what kind of football Onslaught plays. I just know they play quite expansive attacking football, and I don't know what they're going to look like, which with the unknown for me is like more risky than playing at least a team that we know, they come to Spurs. At least they'll play a low block, but at least we'll know we're playing against a low block more than likely. And because they're not a promoted side where they might be a bit more unpredictable, it will just be more preferable to play a team like that.
Okay, fair enough. And before we wrap up for today, England-Denmark Thursday. How are you feeling? And give me your score prediction.
Oh, God. After watching that boring game last night, I think it's going to be like 1-1 on Thursday.
1-1, really? Do you still think we're top of the group, though?
I mean, England should really beat Slovenia in the last game. So, in theory, yes, but I think I've seen strange things happen. And I think with the Denmark game, it's kind of, obviously Denmark didn't win their first game. They're more likely to attack England. But as we alluded to before the stream even started, when we were talking about how Southgate doesn't go for the jugular. Last night was the game for me that he should have gone for the jugular to solidify the game and win the game, and then bring on the players he brought on. But the Denmark game for me, because Denmark have to win in reality to qualify, I think it's going to be a draw, and I think it'll go down to the last match as to who qualifies.
Yeah, I think the England will top the group quite, without doubt.
They should have taken it, really, theoretically speaking.
Yeah, I'm feeling a 0-0 draw, to be honest with you. I think it'll be quite boring, knowing England. I think we'll win the last game, and top the group. I think Serbia could go through, to be totally honest with you. I think that we could see that happen. I really thought Serbia... we were poor in the second half, but I thought Serbia got it right tactic. I don't know why they brought Mitrovic off and no one in the box, and they had a couple of chances that he would have scored. But generally, the manager got it right with his substitutions.
I think Serbia, what they tried to do, I've been watching a lot of like coaches' voice stuff this summer, because they have these managers like Daesh and whoever else, Fonseca, all these different managers talking about how they won certain games and how they their tactics in terms of like inverted fullbacks. I was watching one with Maresca. He was talking about the inverted fullbacks. He doesn't use it the same way as Ange, but I just kind of wanted to know about him because obviously he's a new Chelsea manager. So these the actual managers talking about their tactics with little pins and moving them around. One of Daesh's videos talking about changing the feel of the game, and I thought going into the Serbia game that Serbia would try and do the same thing, as they'll try and play longer balls and try and be more direct and change the feel of the game. And I think that's what happened in the second half. And the problem is because England, when they were in the ascendancy, didn't finish the game off. It just allowed them back in. And I think as you mentioned before, they were probably going to score the longer the game went on. So in the end, it was.
I honestly only think we needed a handful of minutes. So that is 8-9 minutes of added time. I think that's a draw.
It's just England just invited them on. And
how far are England getting, Haz, for you? Is it coming home?
I was the same thing what I said at the time added on the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Semi-finals.
Okay.
I just don't think England would go all the way.
And what would you do with Southgate?
Get rid.
You'd get rid. Who'd you?
The problem is,
I was going to say, who would you bring in? But I think it'd be Sean Dyche for you. Which is I don't think it's a bad shout though. I don't think it's a bad shout. I think he's done a good job and he's underrated. I'd probably say Eddie Howe, if I'm honest.
The problem is, like, are you going to get Eddie Howe out of Newcastle? And not just that.
But do you know Newcastle need a serial winner to come in and take them to that first? I was thinking Eddie Howe.
Off the market now because he's gone to Fenerbahce. Because one of my friends had a theory that maybe he'd go to Newcastle. Or
he won't work with the FA. The FA wants someone who'll commit to also things off the pitch, and I just can't see Mourinho being the figurehead.
But they want
Southgate ticks every box, though.
They want an English manager. So what other English managers are there? Really, as you mentioned, Dyche, Howe,
Eddie Howe.
I think the Luton manager the other day.
Gary O'Neill. Rob Edwards. I don't think there's stupid chance. I really don't. I think that the reality is, and I have nothing against Southgate, and I want nothing more for him to prove critics wrong and for England to bring it home and prove people like me wrong. I'm not his huge critic, but I'd love to be proven wrong. But I think if you put him in the Premier League, I think that he struggles. I think we're looking at a relegation battle type team like your Leicesters. I think that'll be perfect.
He did go down Middlesbrough, Harry. So
he's not going.
I think he got in there because...
I don't understand the links with the Man United job. I just do not understand it. I mean, Ten Hag looks like he's staying. I think that's the absolute correct decision, for example. So
the problem is that the manager market is quite bad. Unless you bring Poch in, I just don't see who else is on the market.
But by the way, what you said about Pochettino, I would have Pochettino back, and that's not something. Again, I didn't think I'd say at Chelsea because I thought that he was a traitor, etc. I still do in a way. I think that he made that decision to go, but at the same time, he was treated unfairly at Chelsea, and I think that he should have never gone. And that's the reality. I can't hate someone who built something special and would have got us over the line eventually. I can't hate someone who brought happy times. And my first memories when I started watching football, I can't hate the guy, and I would have him back over Ange or not. I don't know. You need to give me half of the season to judge it, maybe a whole season next season to judge who I'd rather. But the reality is, Haz, we should be sitting here, and I think you can agree to this, talking about Mauricio Pochettino's Tottenham with a couple of trophies under our belt. I think we would, and because the thing is, Haz, Champions League final, Liverpool got to the final against Madrid, lost 3-1, as we know, Carrick's mistakes. They rebuilt. They listened to Klopp. They bought very key players in. They rebuilt. Bought Van Dijk. Van Dijk, Alisson, because defensively they were poor. They weren't after that. They scrapped over the mark in little things like that, obviously just before the Champions League final to go and improve. We didn't. We just and never ever in that next season when we put so much in that Champions League final, we shouldn't have gone. I don't know how you obviously because we didn't necessarily speak at that time. I don't know how you felt. I was livid. I was livid.
For me, I have to admit, I'm not going to sit here and lie to people. At the time, I did want Poch to go because I wanted Jose to come in, but in the long run, if I knew what was going to happen in terms of like us sacking managers every year, every 18 months, you're better off just keeping Pochettino, giving him the money that we spent sacking the managers and appointing the managers in reality. But at the time, I can't sit here and lie to say at the time I didn't want Jose.
No, I appreciate honesty. And if I'm totally honest with you, I wasn't for Ange Postecoglou, and like used part of the podcast. Obviously, I've stepped away from their weekly show and we'll host a separate show. But the guys, you look at Callum, Dave, Luke, Winnie, they all wanted Postecoglou. Luke and Dave even more. That they were banging that drum. To be fair to them,
I didn't even know who he was. So
I looked at him when Celtic won the treble, and I was like, "What else?" And I couldn't believe when someone said nothing.
We're still recording, by the way. You know, right? I'm just.
I know we're still recording. Thank you. But I've been totally honest with you. I didn't.
I mean, I wanted Slot, obviously he turned us down. So
I wanted honest Slot. There's a lot of managers, Pochettino, that I would have taken over Ange Postecoglou. I don't think I can't say if it's the right thing or not, whether Ange Postecoglou is right for Tottenham, but in hindsight, it looks like it's the right appointment and that we could be heading in the right direction. But I don't think it's all rosy. I think that's very important to know. And I think this window's massive. The pre-season's massive and the start of the season. So I don't think it's right, is it? Fans
I think the
sit here
first
and go,
10 games will be telling.
Postecoglou's going to win at Tottenham. He's the right appointment. He's the right to he's the next Pep Guardiola. Or the same extent that he has to go. I think that balance is needed. Get behind him, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? That first half.
I don't really know because it depends on his tactics. That's what. Even the players like we link with Archie Gray. I'm like, okay, is this guy really going to play that many minutes? Why are we getting him now?
No.
I watched him in the playoff final. I was like, I wasn't that impressed if I'm being honest. Are we going to go out and sign players that are going to improve this 11 straight away? That's the question. And also, will Ange adapt?
We need to be big. We need to be big and bold. I want to see us in the conversation for Isaac. Why aren't we in that? We got the money. That's the issue. And
you're not Oscar on person, because I like Isaac a lot.
No, I know, but I've defended the board a lot. But I look at Isaac. I'm not saying Tottenham go and pay 180 million. I'm asking to be in the conversation, put an offer on the table. We've done that for Toney, fair play. But when you see top players, and we saw it in recent years with Skriniar, but even more now with the revenue of the money coming in from the concert.
Because you went to the Pink concert.
Went to the Pink concert. That would have generated millions 2 nights, and there was so many people there. It was excellent. I really enjoyed it, and that's what I'm all for. Contributing to the club, I think it's a great thing if we can see where it's being spent. We look at last summer. Really, is a Harry Kane money.
And said we won't sign a £100 million player, so Isak's kind of off the cards. And if he's talking like that, really, I mean, if we're going to believe what he said.
But how are you going to become Manchester City and Arsenal? That's got to be your aim to be the
my
top.
Argument.
The aim should be top 6, top 4 in 10 years' time. It should be can we win titles? And with our current recruitment strategy, apart from the youth, I think that as Marc touched on, could be good and it does look good. But they won't be given the opportunity. I promise you. Mikey Moore will be sold 3 million. Dolly will be sold. We hit see all the time. Like shit. I honestly think that Middlesbrough will get a loan to buy for Real Jackshire, a couple of million. It happens every time. It happened with Dylan Makunde, who looked really good.
The issue with Spurs is, I look at Tanganga as a case. So he was brought through. Jose brought him through. I think you remember he put him at right back against Liverpool in his debut, and he's one player I really liked. I thought he was incredible. I really liked him. And obviously he's had his injuries and stuff, but even on the other managers, his issue was, for me, he'll get played in loads of different positions. So you never really had like a fixed position for him. And then obviously you had the change of managers. And by just the uncertainty, some managers came in and liked him. Some managers came in and didn't fancy him. Obviously, in regards to, say, Conte, for example, I would have seen him as like a right-sided centre-half. But we didn't see him. I think we saw him play there for 45 minutes, or maybe even less than that, in one game. And then he put him on the right wing back, which for me wasn't his position. And then, so he wasn't exactly like, there wasn't like a plan for him as such, or like a development plan for these players when they come through. As in, even if the new manager comes in, look, you can go and play in this position or something. And I think the change of managers hasn't helped in that respect, especially with someone like Tanganga. But he's just an example I'm using because he's one we've obviously just let go of to Millwall. And he's one who I thought when he came through, Harry, he could be like a long-standing centre-half for us if he like fulfilled his potential. But obviously his career's kind of like gone completely off track.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think
if there's no like plan for these youngsters, as in like a development plan or just a plan in terms of like with the manager, then I don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the issue we have.
So, for example, I don't know if they have like I'm not there at Spurs. So I don't know if they have like a book or profile where they have like, say, this young player, and they say, look, this is your plan over the next 2 years or something. We're going to loan you to this type team for 1 year, and then if you progress, we'll move you to like a lower Premier League. So I like they did with Kyle Walker when he signed.
And
because they signed Kyle Walker, Harry, back in like years and years ago. They loaned him back to Sheffield United, I think, for a year. Then he came and he was loaned out to Norwich and then Villa or something, or Villa. And then he came back.
I know, it's definitely Villa.
I think he stayed at Sheffield United with Carl Norton for another year or something. And then he went to Villa on loan. Then Harry brought him into the first team. Obviously, this is what we're talking about someone we signed. But in that respect, I don't know where they look at Alfie Devine and say, look, you'll be loaned out to this team this year. If you progress, we'll move you to like a Premier League club. And then if you do well in this, then we'll give you like a path. But I don't know how, because I don't know how it works. Profile. Yeah, I don't know how it works.
And Marc won't agree, but I look at the Sheffield United game and I think I would have started Mikey.
Perfect. It's a perfect game for a lot of them.
I would have started Mikey, but would have given Donnelly half an hour, 45 minutes.
I agree with you.
They're relegated.
Yeah, it's a perfect game to play those kind of players.
I think Mikey Moore's more informed than Son was at the end of the season. More informed than Kulusevski was. That he should be in competition for them. I just don't. I just frustrates me. And Werner, I get, but he should be so. I said I wouldn't sign him permanently. It'd only be, and if I did, it'd only be a year. It's not a long-term option. It's someone for now who has a little bit of pace, which Son doesn't have, as you said. But I do think it wraps us up nicely. Haz for today's show.
I agree with Jay's comment. I'll have Solanke over Toney. Sorry.
Jay says Solanke over Toney. I would take Solanke personally, so there you go. But where can people find you, Haz?
Yeah, so Haz Spur TV at Haz Spur 92, and obviously Spurs Kings TV. I'll be on the next season in some capacity. And also I'm on floating on other channels. But you guys probably won't see me for a couple of weeks because I'm heading to Cyprus on Wednesday.
Oh, enjoy.
So unless you guys insist on me taking loads of videos when I'm in like Ayia Napa or something.
Say no.
Yeah, put it on my channel. Maybe I'll do that. Or in clubs or something. then or food or something. I mean, yeah. Then maybe I'll post stuff like that. I don't know if you guys really want to do that. But yeah, so I probably won't be on any streams for a couple of weeks because of that. But if by chance I'm like free for 2 hours, bearing in mind Cyprus is 2 hours ahead. So
right. Oh,
when you stream, it'll be like this time is 11:20, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So I don't know if I'll be joining any streams or not. It just kind of depends ad hoc. And if I'm like stuck somewhere or something, and obviously with the Euros going on, obviously there's that going on as well. So.
There we go. But no, thank you very much, Haz. You also want to follow me, you can there at HarryScarf22 across all socials. But most importantly, follow Haz, Spurs Kings TV, Haz Spur TV as well, YouTube channel. Subscribe to Scarfy Spurs Talk because it's free to do so. And it's just really quick as well to do so. That's the thing, if you're going to watch the video, you don't like me, smash the subscribe button, never come back. That's absolutely fine by me. Never come back. But we do appreciate you if you do. If you are listening on a podcast platform, Spotify, Amazon Music, or the new Apple Music, which is new to the podcast, don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review. It all helps the content grow and improve. Anything generated, of course, goes towards the channel. Currently, obviously, earning no money, but long term, it will be back reinvested in the channel. So thank you for your continued support, and thank you everyone to the chat. Thank you all. As well. Not many questions this week. That's why we didn't touch on it. All the questions were answered in today's show. So we will get to questions next week. Next week's show, we can put it out there already, is called Should We Trust a You? We touched on it today with different guests.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
We touched on it. Well, the whole show on it. Got to fill the time, you see, now until the summer. Got to fill the time. But for now, come on Spurs and come on England.
Yeah, come on, you
working as a manager at Celtic Park when we met you. We picked you out, you shook us up and turned us around. You've turned us into something new. And Postecoglou, you know that we believe it when you say you're gonna change it. And Postecoglou, we're the mighty Tottenham and nobody's gonna stop them. Oh, we look so fine in blue and lily white. And then he said to me, I'm from a land down under. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh.